I believed my heart was right with God. But I had no idea there was something inside me that could keep me from Him, something I didn't even see. Before I go further, I want to invite you, dear friend, to share your thoughts in the comments as you listen to my story. If you've ever had an experience like this, or if something I say touches your heart, I'd love to hear from you. And please subscribe so we can continue sharing these life-changing testimonies together. It was a warm, rainy morning when the flood came. I was at home, sipping tea before heading to the hospital where I worked as a nurse. The rain had been falling through the night, but I didn't think much of it, until the water began to rise faster than I had ever seen. In minutes, it was rushing into my home, swirling around my legs. My heart pounded. I tried to gather a few things, but the force of the water was too strong. It pulled at me, cold and unrelenting, dragging me under. I remember the moment I stopped fighting. The sounds of rushing water faded. My body felt light, almost as if I was floating. But I wasn't floating in water anymore. I was moving through a place that felt beyond this world. It was quiet, yet alive with a kind of presence I cannot describe. A brightness ahead began to draw me closer, and the closer I came, the more I felt a mixture of awe and trembling. When I reached the light, I found myself standing in a place so vast it seemed to have no end. It was like a courtroom, but not like any on earth, majestic, pure, and filled with an authority that made me want to bow. There, in the center, stood the one I instantly knew was Jesus. His presence was overwhelming, holy, powerful, yet filled with love. I couldn't speak. I could only stand there, every part of me exposed before him. He didn't speak in the way we do, but he revealed to me the truth about my life. He showed me moments where I had held on to bitterness, times when I had refused to forgive. And I began to understand that, though I had done many things in his name, my heart had not truly released the grudges I carried. In that holy courtroom there was no way to hide from the truth. It wasn't like on earth, where we can pretend, justify, or explain our actions. Before Jesus, every thought, every feeling, every hidden thing in my heart was laid bare. I felt his eyes looking right through me, not to condemn me but to reveal what I had refused to see. He showed me people from my past, faces I knew well. Some had hurt me deeply, and I had told myself I had forgiven them. I had even prayed for them. But deep inside, the wounds were still open. I still carried resentment. I still held on to my right to be angry. And in that moment, I realized something that shook me to the core. Unforgiveness was not just a feeling, it was a choice I had been making over and over. Jesus revealed to me that unforgiveness is like a chain. It doesn't just hold the person you're angry with, it holds you. It keeps your spirit bound, unable to fully receive His grace. He showed me countless souls, more than I could ever count, trapped in a place of torment. I was shocked when I understood that they were not there because of murder, theft, or the sins we often think of first. Many were there simply because they could not or would not forgive. The sight broke me. I began to weep, not just for myself but for all those who were lost. I saw how unforgiveness poisons the heart, slowly separating a person from God, even while they may still be active in church, singing, praying, and serving. It was like a veil had been lifted from my eyes, and I finally understood why Jesus had spoken so strongly about forgiving others. In that place, His love was so pure, so holy, that anything unlike Him could not remain. My grudges, my hidden bitterness, they could not exist in His presence. And I knew, without Him telling me in words, that if I wanted to be with Him, I had to let them go completely, with no excuses. I stood there, trembling in that place of pure light, feeling the weight of my own heart more than the weight of any earthly burden I had ever carried. Jesus didn't point a finger at me, and yet His very presence revealed every hidden corner of my soul. It was as if His light moved through me, showing me the truth I had managed to avoid for years. He showed me moments from my life like scenes in a living vision. I saw myself as a little girl, hurt by words that cut deep. I saw betrayals from friends, disappointments from family, situations where I had been wronged in ways I thought I had handled with maturity. I remember telling myself I forgive them, while in reality, I simply locked the pain in a hidden room inside my heart and left it there. I carried that room with me into adulthood, and I didn't even realize how much it shaped my words, my actions, and my thoughts. Then He revealed something that stunned me. I saw times when I had prayed for healing or blessings, but deep in my spirit, a wall had been there. That wall was made of every grudge, every unspoken resentment, every hurt I refused to truly lay at His feet. And I understood that while I thought I was waiting on God to answer my prayers, many times He had been waiting on me to release what I was holding on to. I began to see people's faces, some I hadn't thought about in years. One by one their images passed before me. He showed me how my heart had silently judged them, even as my lips spoke kindness. I saw the hypocrisy in my own actions, not because I was pretending to love God, but because I didn't realize how impossible it is to love Him fully while holding unforgiveness toward His children. Then the vision shifted. Jesus took me to a place so dark it seemed to swallow all light. I saw countless souls there bound in chains. Some looked like they were crying, others seemed numb, but all of them were trapped in a kind of spiritual prison. And the most shocking thing was that many of their faces looked familiar. Not familiar as in I knew them personally, but familiar in the sense that they could have been people from my own church, my own community. He revealed to me that they were not there because they had committed the sins the world sees as the worst. Many of them had served in churches, given to the poor, sung in worship teams, and helped the needy. But they had carried unforgiveness in their hearts until their last breath. And that alone had separated them from the fullness of His grace. In that moment, my heart broke in a way I had never experienced before. I realized forgiveness is not something we do because the other person deserves it. It's something we do because Jesus commands it, because we need it, because without it, we cannot truly belong to Him. He showed me that forgiveness is a door, and the key to that door is love. Without opening it, we cannot step into the freedom and peace He offers. I fell to my knees in that heavenly courtroom. Tears poured from my eyes. I told Him I didn't want to hold on to anything that would keep me from Him. And though He didn't speak the words out loud, His presence told me that my release of forgiveness had to be complete, without any hidden conditions, without, I'll forgive but I won't forget. He showed me that true forgiveness wipes the slate clean as if the hurt had never happened, because that's what He did for me. When I rose from my knees, the air in that holy place seemed even more alive, as if heaven itself was waiting for my choice. I could feel the love of Jesus all around me, so pure, so undeserved, yet freely given. But I also felt the weight of what He was showing me. Forgiveness was not an option for the believer. It was a command, a lifeline, a condition for walking in His grace. He revealed to me that many who think they are ready to meet Him will be shocked when they see their hearts as they truly are. They will stand before Him, pointing to all the things they did in His name, but the hidden poison of unforgiveness will still be there. He showed me how bitterness is like a seed that grows roots, and those roots twist around the heart until they choke out love, joy, and peace. I saw another vision. This time it was the cross. The scene was so vivid I could almost feel the ground under my knees. I watched as Jesus hung there, suffering beyond what my mind could grasp. The sky grew dark, the air heavy. And yet, even in that agony, He released forgiveness to those who nailed Him there. He showed me that the same mercy that saved me was given to people who had not asked for it, people who had not said, I'm sorry. It was then I understood. If the Son of God could forgive while in unimaginable pain, then I had no excuse. Forgiveness wasn't about waiting for an apology. It wasn't about the other person changing. It was about my own heart being free. Then He took me back to the vision of the countless souls in chains. I noticed that each chain looked different. Some were heavy iron links, others like thin cords, but they all bound the people just the same. He told me in that silent, soul-deep way that the size of the offense doesn't matter. Whether the hurt was small or life-altering, unforgiveness has the same deadly effect on the soul. The scene began to change again, and I found myself looking at the church. Rows of people worshiping, raising their hands, singing with passion. But over some of them I could see faint, shadowy chains, almost invisible. My heart broke as I realized they were worshiping with their lips while their hearts were bound by grudges, resentment, and pain they refused to let go. Jesus revealed to me that this is one of the greatest strategies of the enemy, to let believers be active, busy, and even passionate in ministry while quietly holding on to unforgiveness. Because as long as those chains remain, the enemy knows they cannot fully walk in the freedom and power God intended. I stood there weeping again, not just for myself but for the body of Christ. I saw so clearly that unforgiveness was not a small matter. It was a barrier between the soul and eternity with Him. And time, He showed me, was running out. As I stood there in that radiant courtroom, I could feel the atmosphere change. It was as though all of heaven had turned its attention toward this moment. Jesus stepped closer, not in a way that closed the distance, but in a way that filled every part of me with His presence. His love was so overwhelming that I could barely stand under it, yet it carried a weight of urgency I will never forget. He revealed to me that my time on earth was not yet finished, but before sending me back, there was a message I had to carry. It was not for me alone, but for the church, for every believer, for every heart that calls on his name. The message was simple, but it burned like fire in my spirit. Forgive now. Do not wait. Do not carry this into eternity. He showed me how short life truly is, how many people believe they have time to deal with things later, and yet later never comes. He revealed that when we hold on to bitterness, it's not just an emotional wound, it becomes a spiritual trap. And if that trap follows us into eternity, the cost is beyond anything we can bear. Then I saw something that still shakes me when I think about it. Jesus showed me a clock, not like the clocks we have on earth, but one made of light and shadow. The hands of the clock were moving faster than normal, and I understood without words that this was heaven's time. The hour was later than I thought. The world was closer to the end than most people realized. And for many, the time to forgive was already slipping away. I felt his love, deep and tender, but also his holy sorrow over the souls lost. Not because they didn't know him, but because they refused to forgive. It was the kind of grief that made my own heart feel like it would break. I knew then that unforgiveness was not a small weakness. It was a chain that could drag a person away from the very one they claimed to follow. Finally, he told me, in that gentle, soul-penetrating way, that I had to go back and tell this truth without fear. He didn't promise people would always listen, but he showed me faces, countless faces, of those who would hear and turn back to him because of this message. And with that, the light around me grew brighter and brighter, until I felt myself being drawn away, moving faster and faster. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my body, lying on a stretcher with paramedics around me. I was drenched, weak and shaking, but my heart was burning with a new mission. I knew why I had been sent back, to tell everyone I could that the time to forgive is now, that eternity is real, and that love, true love, cannot live in a heart that clings to grudges. So I'm telling you now, as you hear my voice, please don't wait. Don't let pride, anger, or pain keep you from obeying God's command to forgive. The freedom he offers is worth more than the hurt you've been holding. And the time we have is shorter than we think. If my story has touched you, I invite you to subscribe so we can keep sharing these messages of truth and hope together. And please share this with someone you know. It might be the very thing that saves their soul.